Hello and good evening. Welcome to another episode of Doubling Down on the Derp. Actually, I might have to change that slightly. I think this might be the first inaugural episode of Tripling Down on the Derp. And it's all thanks to our good old friend, Level Up Observer. Now, I've said on several occasions I didn't want to make this part of the channel all about him, but as fate would have it, somebody made a little video this morning and I just have to respond. Hello, good evening for a Saturday night. I hope you're all doing well. A big welcome and thank you to the new subscribers I got since yesterday morning when Dan published his video, which he very kindly allowed me to take part in. 350 plus, baby steps, let's see how we get on. But welcome all, welcome one and all. As you may or may not know, Level Up Observer, SciManDan and myself have kind of been involved in this challenge to get a flat earther to watch the 50-minute ISS video, which was the main feature of the video that was published yesterday on Dan's channel. We levelled the challenge specifically at Level Up Observer because he's the most notorious one, certainly the most prolific one who uploads the most inconsequential garbage on his channel on a daily basis, as I posited in my little clips. So we asked him to watch the 50-minute ISS video. Very quite clear, watch the video, respond to it, debunk it, no problem at all. He has posted a video in response to our video, but thus far he hasn't responded to the video we asked him to, which is so utterly predictable it's almost depressing. Now, a quick backstory if you're not familiar with this. A few weeks ago, Level Up Observer responded to a response from SciManDan where he asked him to watch the 50-minute video and respond. Level Up Observer posted a video that basically tried to say that Dan had exposed himself. I'm still trying to figure out what the hell Level Up Observer was talking about, because as I said in my response video to that one, there was no exposing. Dan asked you to do something, you deflected, and you didn't take up the challenge, as we expected. So I posted a video defending Dan from Level Up Observer's bonkers rhetoric and inconsequential ramblings. Dan got in touch, said let's do a little collab. We have done that, posted yesterday. Level Up Observer today has posted a video in response, and we're going to have a quick look at that just to see how pointless and inconsequential it was. So the crux of the video Dan posted yesterday was that we went through the 50-minute video and we had a quick look at all the things that they could point out or they could try and debunk. Wires, green screen, underwater tanks, scuba divers, the usual lame excuses because they've got barely any imagination. So we're going to have a quick look through Level Up Observer's video, and even the thumbnail should tell you which direction this is going in.
So it would seem I've been challenged by some Lego engineers. So
yes, I made a comment in my video that the only way that Level Up Observer could criticise me or any of the points I was making was not to actually address the challenges or the questions I was putting, but rather attack my Lego collection. The video is actually titled Lego Engineers Challenge LEO. Lego Engineer? I wish. Do you have any idea how much those guys get paid? Plus they get to play with Lego all day. Dream job. But all Lego shenanigans aside, although I might come back to that later, we'll see how we get on. This is actually starting off this video with something that's known as ad hominem. It's where you try to discredit the person who is challenging you and trying to put you on the back foot rather than taking anything you say seriously. By the way, other building block toys are available, but let's face it, they're not as good. So back to Level Up Observer's silly little video he tried to put together this morning. So, Lego Engineers Challenge LEO. One thing I will say about LEO is he records all of his videos on his phone. You can tell because I think he's got the Mobizen app, which is those 3 orange circles that keep popping up when he switches between tabs or plays videos. And he does it all in one take. I always have to edit the crap out of my videos because this will be 2 hours and I'll have to whittle it down to about 15 minutes because I'm not very good at reading my own lines or following my own script, which I don't actually have. I'm literally making this up as I go along. So let's get into the video.
So it would seem I've been challenged by some Lego engineers. Should I be worried?
Well, it depends how seriously you're going to take the challenge, isn't it?
Well, let's have a look.
Let's have a look. Every time.
So first up, we got one of the top boys on the space Lego scene. Let's see what Dan's got to say.
If you are a flat earther, there are a...
I'm going to stop you pretty much straight away, my handsome friend. No, I'm not a flat earther.
Sorry, say that again?
I'm not a flat earther.
Say that one more time.
I'm not a flat earther.
So you're not a flat earther, even though 95% of the videos on your channel are constantly claiming that the earth isn't round, it's scientifically impossible, there is no space, we're not moving through space at the speeds we are, and you're saying you're not a flat earther. Can I just point out one thing to you?
I'm not a flat earther.
What's flat earth if it isn't level earth? Even though the video's just started, I'm going to try and quickly do a little bit of analysis on this, because I think what's happening here is he realises that his arguments have been debunked so fully, so many times and so completely, that he's trying to change his own narrative without admitting he was wrong. So he's saying he's not a flat earther when it's really quite patently obvious he absolutely is. Everything he says, does and attests contributes to the fact that he thinks the earth is not a globe. If it's not a globe, if you say the round earth or the spherical earth is scientifically impossible, then what is it? Please explain. I think in one of your previous videos you said that it's not just a flat earth. It might be the idea that where the earth is a contained ecosystem inside a massive ice wall that goes on forever, which is absolutely ridiculous. And what else is there? Do you think we're living in a matrix? This is all a simulation? Okay. Well, the throat infection I'm just desperately trying to get rid of tells me that feels pretty bloody real. So immediate deflection. I'm not a flat earther, so stop calling me a flat earther. I'm right, you're wrong. I think. This man's mind does not function in the way that other people's do. Please see my previous video for details, which a lot of you actually are, so thanks for that. I really wasn't expecting that one to do some pretty good numbers, but it is. Thank you. Let's get back to Leo and his weird assertions that he's absolutely not what we think he is.
I'm a demonstrable realist. You've been told this numerous times, yet you keep telling your viewers I'm a flat earther. Could it be you don't want them to know the demonstrable truth, the fact the globe's scientifically impossible?
Something else he says every time. The globe is scientifically impossible. Please provide evidence. Everyone else on the planet, scientific scholars and philosophers going back millennia, figured out that the earth is spherical and it is scientifically possible. It is scientifically possible because we're standing on it. We've taken photographs of it from space. We have space stations orbiting it. We have things like GPS and plane navigation systems and a myriad of other technologies and what have you that are solely dependent on a spherical earth and simply wouldn't function in any other reality.
And you're trying to inform your viewers on a subconscious level that a demonstrable realist, me, stands by the loaded term flat earth and all the propaganda and silly claims and cartoons that go with it. Yes, I think that's the case, Dan. Very dishonest fella. You're trying to give your viewers the impression that I stand by things that aren't my claims.
Liar.
Propaganda, misrepresentations through use of wordplay. Loaded words, I should say. Let me state for the record, many times in the past, in my titles of my video, I've used the word flat earth. 1, to tickle the algorithms, and 2, to highlight people's automated responses to the words flat earth.
I would say, I could almost say that's clever, but he's not that smart. So, again, I'm not a flat earther. I know I said I was in the past, but I was just tricking you. Because I'm smart enough to know how the YouTube algorithm works, and I'm only doing this for clicks and likes. So basically, he's lying to his audience.
And how propagandized they are. Okay? And of course, I dropped that many years ago now. I don't even use it. I simply stand by demonstrable science.
You don't use it, even though your channel is still called Level Earth Observer. Carry on.
This is a better lever point. You don't have to entertain the propaganda. But still, I'm not that I've ever claimed flat earth maps and models. I'm still being misrepresented constantly because these people cannot accept the demonstrable truth. Incredibly telling.
Pot. Kettle.
Few other things that you sort of have to believe other than flat earth. You have to believe that gravity isn't real, for instance.
Wrong. I don't deny our reality in any shape or form. Most things fall, some things rise. I don't deny it.
Yes, you do.
In fact, I love it. Do you know why? Because the way reality presents itself to us proves the globe scientifically impossible. Because whatever is at play with regards gravity, cause and effect, whatever's going on there, it's not man enough to make the globe earth theory a reality. That's not my opinion, Dan. It's a demonstrable fact.
So give us a demonstration. You are, of course, the genius who knows more than anyone else on the planet. Please, show us.
Because whatever is at play can be overcome by a gentle breeze, and therefore isn't man enough to hold tower cranes upside down whilst doing ludicrous speeds in 4 different directions on a spinning, wobbling, oscillating ball. It's just a demonstrable fact.
I think he's getting onto his fundamentals. We've spoken about this before.
Used in misrepresenting again, I'm only speaking for myself here. What's denied are the silly stories attached to the way reality presents itself to us.
This is what's known as word salad. He's, like I said, he's making it up as he goes along, and I think he's losing track. So he's just cracking on and saying the first thing that comes to his head, desperately trying to disprove anything that Dan's saying. Dan isn't really saying anything at all. He's just stating facts. You know, flat earthers have to deny an incredibly large amount of things, including space, gravity, International Space Station, solar eclipses, lunar eclipses, seasons, sunrises, sunsets, tides. I could go on. Like I said, he's not doing a very good job of this, but let's see how he gets on.
Okay? No one denies what is, and what is tells us the globe's impossible. All right?
No one denies what is except you on a daily basis, because you don't understand what is. Does that make sense?
Right? Whatever the cause and effect at play is that you term gravity just isn't man enough to make your delusional world a reality.
And that 8 inches per mile squared actually works.
None of your mathematics works, fella. It's all mathematical storytelling that doesn't have any practicality whatsoever to back it up. Just fantasy. Maths, as I've stated many times, is just a mathematical story unless it has scientific demonstrations to back up its claims.
What does any of that mean? Absolute word salad.
And that's exactly the case with this globe earth theory.
Most importantly, above all else, you have to believe that space is fake. But to
Dan, how many times have you been told? You cannot have a spherical air pressure system rock globe earth residing in the middle of a vacuum space without some kind of solid separation.
Again, this is one of his 3 fundamentals. He doesn't know the difference between a vacuum, which is quite literally a void of anything, and a vacuum cleaner. That's it. He thinks that space sucks, when in fact it's just an absolute void of anything. I've gone over this before. Our atmosphere is kept on Earth by the Earth's gravity. The higher up you go, the less the gravitational pull on the atmosphere, which is why it's a lot thinner, and some atmosphere actually leaks into space. There's no need for a physical barrier to keep the atmosphere in, like there's no need for a barrier keeping water on the ground. It's the same concept sort of, only it's air and not water.
That's not my opinion, Dan. That's a scientific
Clearly it isn't, because you haven't been able to demonstrate it. The burden of proof is on you, buddy. If you want to claim that our atmosphere is held in by a physical barrier, you have to prove it. We know there isn't one, because we've gone out of the atmosphere and we've gone into space several times. Again and again, and we're probably doing it again in a couple of weeks or so. SpaceX is making regular trips to the International Space Station, as is NASA. We do it all the time. It's just you can't get your head around the fact that we do that.
Backed up by every single demonstration on this earth involving a vacuum residing next to an air pressure system.
See, there it is. I think he's just showed his hand there. If you create a vacuum within the atmosphere, yes, I think the line is nature abhors a vacuum. If you create a vacuum container within the Earth's atmosphere, then yes, it would be a high pressure system and the atmosphere would try to get into it. Any air would try to fill the void, which is what it is. It would be a closed container where there was absolutely nothing, and any pressure release valve, air would immediately flood in. Yes, that is correct on Earth, down here in the atmosphere at this level. When you get up into space, the air, like I said before, the air is so thin there is no need for a barrier because gravity is keeping the atmosphere closer to Earth. And if we have a rocket strong enough or any kind of aircraft strong enough, we can just go outside it.
So no, Dan, I don't believe in things that are scientifically impossible.
Neither do I. That's why I don't believe in the Loch Ness Monster. Turns out it's eels, apparently.
Because if your spacecraft did get to a vacuum of space, as you put it, it would have needed to have gone through a solid wall to get there. Not my opinion, a demonstrable fact.
No, it's your opinion.
Today, regarding that, I'm going to openly challenge a flat earther to try and debunk the undebunkable.
Well, I've just debunked it with demonstrable reality and I haven't even seen the video yet.
Then how have you debunked it if you haven't seen the video? But we reckon you have.
Although I know what's coming because you've been going on about this for weeks now. But I've already destroyed it by stating simple facts that can be tested and verified by every single person on this earth.
That's another one of those little statements he makes. I have gone over this before, where he just says, oh, it's demonstrable reality, tested and verified by all, which means nothing. And he can't have debunked the video by making preemptive statements on something of which he has no knowledge.
Right, back to today's video, which, as I promised, will be a monumental challenge to flat earthers. Now, it's a prerequisite for flat earthers to claim that space is fake, NASA is a hoax, and everything they do is a lie. The trouble is, there's a video in existence which completely destroys that opinion. Now, in my opinion, it is undebunkable, and all my time doing YouTube, for 5+ years, I've not once seen a flat earther take this video on.
Bless this man's desperation, citing some fantasy as proof that reality is wrong. What a silly charade all of this is.
What was the point of that? So you just paused the video, spouted your little self-affirming nonsense and then carried on? You're really not making a good case for yourself here, Leo. Or Adam, whatever your name is.
Now, I've mentioned it before in previous videos, but today we're going to really show it off. And it is, of course, the 50-minute tour of the ISS. It quite simply is an amazing video, and it shows NASA astronaut Stephen Swanson giving us a guided tour of the International Space Station. Now, as I said, in my opinion, this is undebunkable, and that's highlighted by the fact that our favourite Flat Earth Fail compilation guest and all-round NASA critic level Earth observer has never, ever looked at this video. Now, he has looked at almost every single other video from NASA except this one. Now, I've asked him to multiple times, but he still refuses. You see, the thing is...
Well, do you remember our conversation where I asked you if you had any practicality to back up your fundamental claims to justify me wasting 15 minutes of my time looking at space propaganda?
More word salad aside, practicality, fundamental claims means nothing. He asked him to watch a video. Practicality and fundamental what? Throwing all these long words in just to try and make you sound intelligent actually makes you sound a little bit like a...
cretin.
Sorry, that's an inside joke. Jamie, that's for you.
You didn't cite any, which of course debunked your fundamental claims and of course meant I didn't need to entertain this silliness. So again, this is just a silly charade for your fans, Dan. This is not looking good, fella.
I already know all of the arguments from flat earthers about why they think the space is fake and that NASA is a lie and all of that. They say CGI and underwater and wires and parabolic flights and everything like that. And none of those excuses work on this 50-minute tour of the ISS. So I've asked a friend of the channel, Pete MK,
That's me. That's me.
to do a deep dive on this video of the
Deep dive.
What are you, 5?
tour of the ISS. just to reaffirm what we all know, and that nothing will wash when it comes to this 50-minute tour. Take it away, Pete.
And of course, it turns out our mate here is another Lego engineer. Essentially, an older guy.
I beg your pardon? How very dare you? I'll have you know, I'm...
But Dad, you're nearly 50.
Shut up.
I'm going to talk about Level F Observer yet again and his fascination or bordering on obsession with the International Space Station or anything space related. And for a while now, myself and Dan have been trying to get him to watch the 50-minute ISS International Space Station tour, which is a fantastic piece of footage because it blows apart any argument anybody may have whether or not space is real and the International Space Station is actually up there. So if you'll indulge me, I'm going to go through some points where, should Elio ever get round to actually watching this video, these are the points we think he'll try to point out and try and debunk. But as you'll see, it's completely 100% undebunkable.
Debunked it before it even begun by simply citing demonstrable science that can be tested and verified by all, which is my whole point in the first place, which is what gives me a free pass to bash space any which way I like. And I do that, and of course in doing so, I highlight the fact people like yourself can't provide any scientific practicality. No. You just have to cite more space propaganda. Slightly better versions.
So, that's it. I did 16 minutes worth of footage for this, and you haven't even looked at it. But then again, I didn't expect you to, because that's the kind of person you are. We set you a quite easy challenge. You say you don't spend 50 minutes watching YouTube videos. Yes, you do. That's all you do. This is just going to be another video you don't want to watch because you know you can't do anything about it. So you make another video, 10 minutes of incomprehensible word salad, where you deflect and try to avoid the subject by spouting all these words I really don't think you actually know the meaning of, to try to make yourself more intelligent than you actually are. Now, I don't mean that as a slight. There is a difference between knowledge and intelligence. I know several things. I know how to solve a Rubik's Cube in less than 2.5 minutes. I know how to speak French. I know how to say the alphabet backwards in less than 5 seconds. I know how to operate the high ab on the back of a 26-ton truck in really difficult positions. I don't know how to fly a helicopter. I don't know how to exchange the timing belt on an XR3i convertible. I like to think I'm quite intelligent in that, as I said before in one of my previous videos, I am willing to accept contradictory data to my own previously held beliefs. I made a video in the past about being able to see France from Folkestone. I live quite close to that, down in the southeast of England. But that area of England is actually quite hilly, and the higher up you go, the more of France you can see. As you get down to the coast, because it dips behind the curve, you can't see as much. Now, I made a video saying that you couldn't see France from the coastline at Dover, when in fact you could. Just after I made that video, I had a reason to go down there in one of the trucks, and I was able to see for myself that yes, indeed you could. And then made a correctional video saying I was wrong. This is the new data I've interpreted. It's not quite how I put it, but yes, I was wrong. Here is my correction. In my other video, I talk about schizotypy or schizotypal personality disorder, where these people are psychologically incapable of saying I was wrong. It's not something they do deliberately, it's just they cannot do it because of the way their minds work. So here we are with Level F Observer, and now he's been asked a very simple question. We know he's got the spare time. He spends all day up in the plane doing nothing. That's probably all he does, is watch YouTube videos all day. So I will reiterate Dan's challenge. We haven't quite finished yet, but I'll reiterate the challenge because you're avoiding the subject, you're chickening out. Today I was watching Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and the song Brave Sir Robin ran away, bravely run, and I was just thinking, do I re-record that? But I haven't got a fantastic singing voice. I've given it a go, and if I get enough requests, I might do it, but I'm not going to do it now, because I haven't sung properly since I was 12, then puberty happened, and I couldn't sing anymore. So let's not go down that route unless you really, really want it. But anyway, let's go back to Elio and his last little stipulations. There's only a couple of minutes left on his video. This has gone on a lot longer than I thought it was. I do apologise. I didn't realise I was going to do such an in-depth thing. But here we go. He's only got about a few minutes left. And what happens next is par for the course for his ridiculousness. So let's carry on.
Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll entertain you, me old fantasist mate, but we need SciManDan to do a bit of a correction. Dan needs to highlight the fact in a video to his viewers that I'm a demonstrable realist, and he needs to highlight my claims. Things like you can have an air pressure system residing next to a vacuum.
Again, he doesn't know the difference between a vacuum and a vacuum cleaner.
Tower cranes and pendulums don't have the ability to be dead still and plumb whilst doing ludicrous speeds in all different directions.
Here he doesn't understand the concept of the conservation of momentum and how very, very tiny we are compared to the size of the planet.
And large standing bodies of water don't have the ability to display convexity upon its surface.
And again, that is such a nonsensical statement. He didn't even come up with himself. That comes straight from the mathematical debate. And I've spoken about him before. And as for water displaying curvature, come down to Folkestone, LEO. That's my own challenge for you, actually. Come down to Folkestone, have a look at the sea, then tell me why you can see France from Folkestone, but you can't see it from Dungeness.
That's the fundamentals of what I stand by. So let's have Dan highlight that rather than misrepresent me by using loaded terms to subconsciously misrepresent me to his viewers.
There's nothing subconscious about this. They're not loaded terms, they're descriptive terms. There's plain English. There's no hidden meaning, there's no subterfuge. You claim the Earth is scientifically impossible, you provide no evidence to back that up. You say that water can't display convexity upon its surface. We know it can because we see it every day if you live near a beach. You say that tower cranes, because you work in a tower crane, this is probably where your whole mindset comes from. You think that cranes should work like a full quartz pendulum, when basically the cranes aren't big enough, the chains aren't big enough, and the pendulum isn't right. If you knew anything about a full quartz pendulum, you realise why that doesn't work. And as for the atmosphere being contained by a solid barrier from space, you just don't know what you're talking about, full stop. But then you say you'll watch the video on the proviso that we accept that your three fundamentals have any kind of credence in reality. Not going to happen. Dan himself says he doesn't debate established facts. Neither do I. Why would we say to you, just to get you to watch a 50-minute video, which we're pretty sure you already have, that we have to accept that any of those three absolute pieces of stinking garbage fundamentals have any kind of basis in reality when they simply don't?
So get Dan to correct his mistakes and misrepresentations, highlight my science, demonstrable reality to his viewers, and then I'll entertain your space video. Correct your mistakes, and then I'll entertain your propaganda, and I'll tear it left, right and centre. Destroyed it before it even begun. Now it's on you. Correct your misrepresentations, and I'll tear your propaganda to pieces. Chop chop, Lego boy.
So, that was a complete waste of time on Level Up Observer's part, not ours. I've had a lot of fun making my video. But if you notice what he did with mine, now like I said earlier, I said it in a slightly jokey way, but I did. There's a 16-minute section after the bit where he paused, and I must say thank you, because I could have had a really nice expression on my face, but I looked quite normal, so that's fine, and thanks a bunch. But there was 16 minutes after that of that video, not 50 minutes, 16. So he could have watched that, wouldn't have had a problem with watching that, and he would have seen that the points we made preempted any of these little things that he says he's going to rip to shreds. But then he sets this stupid criteria that we have to accept his previously held three fundamentals as fact before he watches the video. There really is no other way to describe it, and I don't really like using words like this. I'm not going to be too rude, but there's only one way, because it's not impossible for him to watch the video. It's as easy as watching all of SciManDan's videos, which he does as regular as clockwork, because he wants to know if he's the subject. Like I said, attention seeking. He's a coward. There's no other way to describe it, and I know that's argumentative and confrontational, and I don't mean it in no way, but there really is no other way. Here's a video you can watch. There's more than one. The conversation chains on both Dan's videos and my videos regarding the ISS. There's more than one video. I mean, the one we had a cut in the middle. There were several that don't. There was about 3 or 4, and they were about the same length. Continuous single shot footage videos all the way through the ISS in perfect clarity, pretty much like the one we highlighted. But the challenge still remains. Both Dan and myself just want you to watch this video. You don't have to watch all of it. You can watch the first 16 minutes or the first 10 minutes, which is the length of time it took you to make yours. You watched all of ours, unless you did genuinely chicken out before it got to any of the points that you say you're going to rip to shreds. I'd really like to see you try. So all the time he changes the subject, deflects away from the purpose of the video, which, like I said, it's not impossible to do. He just makes himself look worse. Throwing out big words you don't understand and using the wrong context isn't going to help you anymore. Your little sycophants on your channel who give you thumbs up all the time and you give little love hearts all the way down is going to change the fact that you genuinely don't know what you're talking about. And every time you make a video like this, you just make yourself look worse. I did mean it when I said in my previous video that you really should seek a little bit of help, because it isn't healthy for a person to go through life holding this much pointless mistrust in government figures. I mean, in all honesty, Elio, what is this helping? What are you getting out of this? You're getting likes on a YouTube channel which isn't monetized. You've got no Patreon set up, so you're just spouting this into the ether and hoping you get a response in return, which is unhealthy, bordering on narcissism. So in conclusion, we're asking you to watch a video, which you do all day, every day anyway. And if the best rebuttal you can honestly come up with is just to have a go at a person's hobby, then you really don't have a solid footing to stand on at all. And every time you make one of these word salad videos where you completely dodge a subject and don't say anything with any kind of credence whatsoever, you just make yourself look worse and worse to everybody except the 50 or so people who routinely comment on your videos, 75% of which, like I said before, I guarantee are trolls who are laughing at you. Okay, thanks very much for watching this one. If you've got this far, 1,000 thanks again to Dan for allowing me to be on his channel yesterday. 1,000 thanks to the new subscribers. Welcome, please. I'll try to carry on making more content if this throat infection ever goes. So thanks again to everyone who subscribed over the last couple of days. I've got another couple of videos coming up. Hopefully, I've got a bit of a long weekend. Hopefully, I'm going to be watching Superman 4. I watched Superman 3 the other day. I have a controversial opinion about that, which I will share with you when I do the video. But I'm watching Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, which I haven't seen, but I do know he was shot mostly in England, so that should be interesting. And I think I'm going to try and play Broken Sword, the director's cut, the original version from years and years ago I had on the PlayStation. So that's what's coming up in the immediate future, if I can get it all done in the next couple of days. Other than that, I'll just see what comes up. It'd be interesting to see if Level Earth Observer reacts. He probably won't, because if that 10-minute video told you anything about him at all, you should know how confident he actually is in the things he says he believes, which is not very much. Thank you very much for watching. Good night.